Hello, welcome to the Learning Curve. I'm Marjorie Began. Here we are again midsummer, and that means it's time once more to cheer on the bicycle riders of the Pan Mass Challenge. Today, Steve Davis, a veteran of 20 years of riding the Pan Mass Challenge, has been kind enough to join me to talk about the event. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you, Margie. Thank you.
Tell us, for people who may not be familiar with the Pan Mass Challenge, tell us a little bit about it.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So the Pan Mass Challenge is a bike-a-thon. It's a bicycle ride whose main purpose is to raise money for the Jimmy Fund.
Now, I believe they've raised over $547 million.
Yes, over $500 million has been raised by this event since its inception in 1980. Last year, believe it or not, the PMC raised $47 million.
In 1 year.
In one weekend.
In 1 week.
I mean, I suppose, right?
Right.
So when you think about it, the event takes place on the first weekend in August every year. Fundraising takes place throughout the year. But in one weekend, $47 million was raised.
And all of that for cancer research for
That's correct.
Dana-Farber.
That's correct. So every dollar that's raised by riders, 100 cents of every dollar, goes directly to the Jimmy Fund and the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. So when you think about the numbers involved, what we're talking about is over 50% of the Jimmy Fund budget is raised by the Pan Mass Challenge.
Unbelievable.
Isn't that something?
It is. And you've been part of this for 20 years.
That's right.
And tell me your motivation for starting cycling in this.
Sure. Well, so many of the riders in the Pan Mass Challenge, myself included, have a personal history with cancer. My mom was diagnosed with cancer 20 years ago. And I had always been a cyclist, and I thought, well, what's a way that I can sort of give back? So Mom was diagnosed. I signed up for my first PMC, and I've been riding ever since. And I'm happy to say today that my mom, who lives in Easton, is a 4-time cancer survivor. And,
that's wonderful.
You know, so over the past 20 years, I think due in part to God's good grace and wonderful medical treatment, Mom's alive today, and she saw her grandkids, you know, grow up. And, you know, it's a good story. And I think there are a lot of people who ride the PMC who have similar stories and similar motivations.
That is a wonderful story. And
Yeah, thank you.
I know, as you said, there must be many, many people that are motivated by a personal experience,
Yeah,
you know, such as that.
You know, it's funny, you'll be on the road. I can remember one year in particular, riding along, I looked up ahead and there was a bicycle bill for 2. And as I got closer to it, I realized there was no one on the back. And the reason there was no one on the back is because one of the participants who had signed up to ride in the PMC died of cancer. And I think it was his uncle, put a picture of him on the back of his bike. You know, and so it's those sorts of experiences and those sorts of emotions that just sort of well up in the course of the ride. You know, it's an amazing thing.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
That would be. Now, you can ride individually or part of a team?
That's right. You sign up individually for the Pan Mass Challenge, and each person that signs up commits to raising a minimum number of dollars for the event.
Can I ask what that is?
So it's about $4,800. It's a significant commitment.
Oh, yes.
And once you join the Pan Mass Challenge, then you can choose, if you like, to join a team, to be part of a team. Not everyone does. There's no requirement to do so, but there is a certain camaraderie. It's really kind of nice to be able to train with people you know and like, and I've been a member of a team for a number of years.
Now, there's a 1-day and a 2-day ride?
That's right. The traditional Pan Mass Challenge has always been a 2-day ride. It started originally in 1980 out in the Sturbridge area, and it traveled to Provincetown over the course of 2 days. Billy Starr, who organized and started the Pan Mass Challenge over the years, has realized that one way we can get more people involved in the event is to offer different routes that might be not, that might not be so onerous, so challenging. And so now there are really routes that are available to anybody that wants to throw a leg over a bicycle and ride, 25 miles or 192 miles. Really, there's something for everybody that wants to get involved.
So the original route was 190 some miles.
Yeah, so the first day starts in Sturbridge and ends in Bourne. That's a 112-mile ride. So it goes over, some pretty significant hills, and it ends at the Mass Maritime Academy. When we get to the Mass Maritime Academy, many of the routes end there. And there's a great party right at the Mass Maritime Academy. We sleep overnight in the dorms or on the ship, and then the next morning at dark 30, we get up and we're on our way to Bourne.
Oh, so it goes through many different communities, one of which I think is
That's
Mansfield.
right. That's right. And for me, as a Mansfield resident, I remember, the years when you'd be coming through town and you'd have your friends and your neighbors all on the side of the road cheering. And it's one of the things that's unique. They talk about it in the Boston Marathon, the number of people who come out along the side of the road to cheer. Well, it's the same with the Pan Mass Challenge. There's so many people that come out on the side and cheer as you go by, and it's really inspiring. And for the people in Mansfield in particular, one of the things that I wanted to say coming here was thank you. There's so many people who have contributed over the years, and it's a great honor, really, to open up my envelopes, that come into me. People have made contributions. Some people have been contributing to sponsor my ride every year for 20 years.
Oh my goodness.
It's wonderful. Yeah.
So you've really built up a relationship with people, and you feel you're riding for them. And that's
so
good.
like my wife Sandy and I, we have 4 boys, and when I first started riding, our youngest was just an infant. And so I can remember training, and I'd go down to the Little League fields and watch the kids and, coach the kids, and after the game would be over, I'd get into my cycling stuff and I'd leave from the fields to come back. And I've grown up, and a lot of the people that, I coached with, the teams, they're still contributing. And
that's great.
So thanks, everybody.
And they've added something called Pedal Partners.
That's right, and that's a wonderful thing. So we talked about the personal experience that so many people have. Well, they've added to that, and that personal experience now means that if you are on a team, you can sponsor a young child who's currently undergoing cancer treatments. Now, my team is called Team Huckleberry, and we have had a number of pedal partners over the years, and it's just a wonderful addition to the event. Because now, not only are we riding for, in memory of someone that we personally have known that's died, or, honoring somebody who's currently going through, or somebody who survived, now we can ride for a child too. And that's special.
That gives you a motivation.
It does. It does. On Saturday, one of the rest stops is in Lakeville. And as we ride towards Lakeville, over the years, what the Pan Mass Challenge has done is they've taken photographs of all of the pedal partners. These photographs are, big boards, maybe, 3 by 4 feet high. And there's a face that lines the road for miles as you go towards the Lakeville stop. And it chokes you up as you ride,
I'm sure.
Yeah. So then we get to the Lakeville stop, and they have a tent there. And this is a tent where a lot of the pedal partners who are well enough will go, and there they get to, experience the joy of the Pan Mass Challenge. And, the riders will come through, and they'll meet their pedal partners, and they'll have face painting and games for the kids. And, it's a great event. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Makes you laugh.
Oh, I know. You're not alone,
I know. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And when you think that, these children's lives are being saved by what you're doing.
That's right.
Or
That's
attempt
right.
to,
That's
to
right.
save their lives.
And one of the things that we've seen, the Pan Mass Challenge has been going on since 1980. And all of the money that is raised for the Dana-Farber is used for really 2 purposes. 1, to treat cancer patients, and 2, to provide better research and development into cures or into better ways to diagnose the disease. And since 1980, one of the greatest success stories has been the improvement in childhood leukemia, where now the almost 90+% of these children are surviving a disease that they once died from.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That just that gives you a motivation, just right there.
It really does. So,
You know?
in Lakeville last year, one of our early pedal partners was there. She's cured. She's cancer-free.
Yeah.
And, her family comes every year to cheer us on. We've been seeing them year after year, and this little girl who's struggling with cancer is growing up,
Yeah. Unbelievable.
It is. Yeah, it's a
stories.
wonderful
And as you
story.
said, there are hundreds and hundreds of those stories.
Yeah. And not all of the stories end happily.
Right.
And I think that, puts some, it puts a different feel on it. But that, again, is the motivation for so many to go out and to pedal their bikes and to get up early in the mornings to train and to, have a spouse say, I'll stay home with the kids so you can get out on the weekends and ride. And it's a commitment for a lot of people.
And then there are a lot of people who just volunteer, because when you have that kind of an organization and an event, you need so many volunteers to help with that. So if people can't ride, but they still want to be part of this,
That's
sure
right.
they can volunteer.
That's right. So last year, for example, there were, I think it was 6,200 people who rode their bicycles, who put on a PMC jersey and rode one of the routes. But there were 6,200 riders, and there were 4,000 volunteers.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So just think about the number of people who are getting involved in this. And the volunteers make the event. They really do.
So if people want more information about the Pan Mass Challenge,
Yeah.
or if they would like to sponsor, I know this year we have 27 people from Mansfield who
Isn't
are
that terrific?
riding in
Yeah.
the Pan Mass, you of course being one of them. How do they go about doing that?
Well, that's a great question. The way to do it would be to log on to the Pan Mass Challenge website, which is pmc.org. Once you're there, you're able to click on the donate button, and the donate button will take you to a place where you have an opportunity to choose a rider by name, or even choose a town and then see a list of riders, and then you can make your contributions that way.
Excellent. Well, the very best of luck to you.
Thank you, Margie.
We'll be thinking about you.
Thank you.
The thousands of other people who will be out there, and hoping that people in Mansfield will get out and really get behind the riders that are in the Pan Mass Challenge this year.
Terrific.
Thank you also for being with us today, and we will have information about the Pan Mass Challenge right after this program. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time on The Learning Curve.